quality of testing. At an outset, let me congratulate and appreciate the Ultratech Cement for organizing this event. I'm very thankful to Mr. Ashwin Moghe, Mr. YTTV Prasad, Mr. Hemant Jain, and entire team of Ultratech, including Harshal, Dinesh, and everybody. And I'm very thankful to you all for being present here this morning for this session. And on this particular background of the COVID-19, when the entire country is facing serious problems and our civil engineering industry is also closed down, I appreciate the efforts of Ultratech to keep busy all the professionals with such value additions through this lecture, such kind of series of lectures and events. So that shows their concern for the quality itself. As we know that during Corona also, the continuous testing is going on, and number of cases, number of patients who are tested, that revealed the next line of action. So the significance of the testing is very important. Let it be the field of medical or let it be the field of engineering. And with this significance of the testing, let us today try to explore some of the things related with the quality of the testing. Next. The testing improves the quality of the construction. As we know, testing plays very significant role in improving the quality of the construction. Those who are concerned with the quality of the construction, they all prefer the testing. And testing is for quality, but hardly we talk about the quality of the testing, because the quality of the testing will govern ultimately the quality of the construction. If quality of testing itself is poor, then quality of the construction may not be enhanced to the desired expectation. And hence the quality of testing is one of the topics which we need to discuss a lot, because it is a soul of ultimately quality of the construction. Next. The testing of the materials, testing of the machinery and methods, that is ultimately responsible for quality of the work. Because any civil engineering project, it is raised, it is erected, it is constructed, it is developed with the help of persons, with the help of materials, with the help of machinery, with the help of methods. So ultimately, if the materials, machinery, methods, including even manpower, if their quality is maintained, then the quality of the testing can be also maintained. So this e-talk aims at to discuss some of the issues of quality testing. Why I'm saying some of the issues? Because the topic is so big, the canvas is so vast that even each parameter of the quality may be a topic of one separate lecture. So in one lecture, it is very difficult to discuss in detail all the issues related with the quality of testing. So in brief, I will try to uh, explore as many as the quality issues related with the testing, but I'm aware that all quality issues may not be addressed in one single lecture. And with this limitation and considering the time constraint and other parameters, let us try to explore in brief at least as many as aspects which we can address. Next. As we know that testing is done for number of different things. Testing plays very significant role in maintaining the quality. As we are coming across with preliminary site investigations and characterization of material before we start any project, we need to go for the testing. If we go for a very big construction project and the quality of the concrete is to be maintained and the high grade concrete, high performance concrete, these are to be used, then we need to go for the proper mix design. The proper mix design and mix proportions, they are required to be investigated through the testing only. Because all the preliminary properties of the constituents of the concrete, they are first tested. Their properties are evaluated. And those properties which are evaluated in the testing, during the testing, are then subsequently used as the base for the mix design, for the mix proportion. Even for that sake, suppose we want to go for the design of foundation. In that entire design, we need to have the exact value of shape bearing capacity. The accurate value of shape bearing capacity will lead not only to the optimum design of the foundation, but it will lead toward the economy also. So the SBC can be just investigated through the preliminary site investigation. If we go for the testing of this site investigation, geotechnical investigation, then only we'll be arriving at the exact accurate amount of the value of the SBC, and it will facilitate us to go for economy, to go for quality construction of the foundation. For that sake, even that is applicable that way to each and every material of the civil engineering construction, including steel also. The different steels are available. We have witnessed in this country the steel ranging from M2250 to now 500D. And for all those steels, the properties, if we evaluate through the testing initially, that helps to go for the proper design. Next, the proper design is one parameter. Uh, Characterization of the material is one parameter. But to understand the trend and behavior of the material is also very important during the quality of the construction. Each material has its own characteristics, and according to those characteristics, the material performs. Its short-term performance or its long-term performance depends on its characteristics, depends on its properties. So to watch the overall performance and to understand the trend and behavior of the material, we need to go for initial testing. Let it be the durability study for the construction project, or let it be the life of construction chemicals or paints or any material for that sake. We need to know the overall performance of that material. We need to know the behavior of that material. And it is the only testing is the only thing which allows us to watch this kind of overall performance. Next, the testing also facilitates us to verify the design parameters or assumptions. As we know, many of the consultants are now present here in the audience. They are designing the entire building. The entire design is governed by means of some assumptions. Those assumptions are based on material properties. Let it be the specific gravity, let it be the compressive strength, let it be the steel properties or the loadings which we are going to consider. Or for sake of design, we need so many input parameters. We need so many variables. All those input parameters, all those variables, they are assumed not randomly, but they are assumed on the basis of well-defined test results. So testing facilitates us to arrive at those design parameters with their exact values. The assumptions are not random, they are based on those testing results. And this is a great significance of testing, that it reveals all those values which are ultimately very helpful during the design of any structure. Next, the theoretical considerations which we do during the preliminary design are required to be modified time to time. And accordingly, the design goes on developing its different modes. The optimization which we need to achieve in any engineering project goes through the process of continuous modification. And this continuous modification is based on the theoretical considerations. Initially, we assume certain values. After the study, after the investigation, after the characterization of the material, after the trial mix results, we modify that parameter, and ultimately we incorporate those modifications so that our theoretical considerations tends to the accurate values, which ultimately leads towards the optimization of the designs, optimizations of material consumption, ultimately leading to economy. Next, all such things are facilitated by the testing. So testing plays very important. Next, testing plays very important role not only in initial stage but in latter stage also, when it goes to the local failures, local distresses, local problems in the structures. To diagnosis the cause of any such problem, the testing is again very helpful and helps us, facilitates us. Let it be the crack formation or fatigue behavior or stress concentration in the structure by virtue of many reasons during performance of the structure. All such problems are required to be diagnosed, and this diagnosis is facilitated by testing. Next, the testing plays again next very important role in investigating the complex phenomena of actions of the different stresses in failure mechanism from research point of view also. We know that different modeling techniques are available. The software modeling is done for the any structure and to know its exact behavior under the loadings. Finite element method is one of the methods which helps us. There are a number of different sections which we use nowadays, and a variety of the structures, plain plates with the holes, the castellated steel columns, hotched sections, the plates and shells with the different shapes, the domes, and all those things, they are related with the complex phenomena of the action of different loading conditions. So under such different complex actions of the loads, how that uh, element will behave is required to know in advance. The software modeling is one of the types of the testing of the material that helps us here to predict such kind of complex phenomena, to predict such kind of behavior, and it gives fair amount of the concentration of the stresses, and that helps us to go for the appropriate modifications in our design. Next, such modifications is a continuous method which is possible due to testing of the software, testing of the model. The construction methodology and machinery, they also play very important role in maintaining the quality of the construction. So the design philosophy, the material characterization, the material properties, they are at one end. But with all those basic inputs, when we execute the project at actual in the field, the appropriate construction methodology and the machinery, that is also very helpful to maintain and enhance the quality. Materials alone cannot enhance the proper quality of the work. Along with the materials, the appropriate construction methodology and duly supported with the appropriate machinery, this team, whole of the team, then ultimately leads towards the quality of the construction. This kind of thing, again, on the front of construction methodology and on the front of machinery, that is further facilitated by means of testing. The redesign, the modifications, or let it be a lightweight construction, precast construction, prefabricated construction, All these different methodologies and different machineries for adopting these methodologies, they are tested well in advance. Unless otherwise you test in laboratory the precast element, you cannot erect it on the field. If the some certain span of the fly or that segment, if it is not properly tested at the precast mode in the laboratory, we cannot venture to put it on the site there. So testing is helpful for the appropriate checking of the construction methodology also, along with its machinery. Next, it further facilitates the early warning of impending failures. In case of distressed structures, if we conduct the testing, then we will get the idea about the near future behavior of the structure, how the structure is going to behave in a near future, whether those cracks will be leading to early failure of the structures. And from that point of view, one of the methods of the structural health monitoring, which is achieved through the NDT, early warning is possible. So such kind of structural health monitoring or non-destructive testing ultimately gives us the idea. It is this kind of testing is something like an alarm bell for all of us to predict the behavior of the structure in near future, which is overloaded or which is already facing some problems or which is going through the structural faults or extra loading, stress concentrations, sort of problem. All such things are tackled. At least we get the early idea of their near future behavior through the testing. So testing has to play a very important role from that next from that point of view also. Further to add that when we are going for some complications after the accident takes place, after some failure takes place, then the forensic investigations are to be conducted for legal defense. And for all such cases, the only and only thing which helps us is the testing. Nowadays, the forensic civil engineering is coming up in a big way. This is a new branch which is developed in many developed countries. In India also, we cannot keep ourselves far away from the forensic applications in engineering. Forensic applications in pharmacy, in other fields are well established. But in engineering also, we are now going for the forensic investigations, and the testing has to play very important and significant role for rational formulation of the authentic base for such kind of legal battle afterwards. Next, along with these kind of forensic investigations, the valuation and arbitration next is also equally important. We come across many cases during our entire span of professional life which are related with the valuation and arbitration. For such cases, the testing can form a very rational base. And based on that, we then can argue, we go for accurate valuation, or even for arbitration, we can find the case with a strong engineering background if testing is with us. So testing is that way a bodyguard of arbitration and forensic investigations. We have a good trend to use the softwares in field. Now, the extent of the projects, the quantum of the project, the total scope of the project has compelled us to shift from manual calculations to software modeling. And hardly any big project without software modeling is possible to execute nowadays. And for such kind of softwares, we need to go for validation of their design when we are using the softwares. Once I asked my students to develop the software to design the canal, and all students, they were so excited, and the early enthusiastic students, they came to me were dancing, literally dancing. So yes, we achieved it, we have done it, and they showed me the results of that canal design. And then I asked, yeah, put this data, this discharge and all these input parameters, and now let me know what is your dimensions of the section using your software modeling. And then I was astonished to note that the depth of the canal, the output was 4 kilometers. So software can give any result. It is such a strange device. For any input, it has to give some output. So it is not important that what input we are giving to software and what output software is giving to us. Unless otherwise the validation is achieved, the software modeling has no meaning. And for that sake of validation, it is very important to go for proper testing of the structure, testing of the design. And this is possible only when we follow the path of testing. Next, under these circumstances, it is very important to know that when to do the testing, because testing can be done before the construction, during the construction, and after the construction. All the three stages, they play very important role. Each stage has its own advantages and limitations. But as we know that post construction testing has limitations, so as far we have to maintain the quality as compared to pre-construction and during construction testing. So the testing which we conduct before construction and during the construction, at least there is some scope for going for the rectification, going for the modification. Post construction technique at the most can help us to go for selection of appropriate rehabilitation, retrofitting treatment only. But hardly we can modify the design or re-execute the design. That scope is very limited for the post construction technique. And therefore, the pre-construction testing, preliminary testing, and testing during the construction, they have to play a big role for the projects which are yet to come. The projects which have already constructed, executed, which are in practice, which have utilized, which have been utilized for a long duration of their service span, and now their further maintenance kind of treatment is required. For that sake, post construction techniques, uh, post construction testing plays a very significant role. So from that point of view, uh, the three types, all these three, pre-construction, during construction, and post-construction technique testing, they all play very next a significant role in performance of the structure. Ultimately, testing is done by the persons. We have some technicians, we have some engineers who are responsible and accountable for the testing at the site, in the laboratory. They are doing this testing with some equipments. So they are using some equipments. There are very advanced equipments available nowadays in the market. All those equipments are in market with very highly sophisticated techniques, and the testing is done on the materials with the help of these equipments. We have number of materials associated with any construction project, right from starting from the water to aggregates to cement to paint as the last activity of the project. Number of hundreds of materials are associated with our projects. So with appropriate equipment, the persons are conducting the tests on the materials. While doing this thing, there are well-defined procedures. There are codes, there are handbooks. We adopt the procedures by following those codes, by following those handbooks, and then we conduct the testing. So ultimately, if we want to arrive at a quality of testing, a qualitative testing, these four important parameters are there. These are the four important elements: the persons, the equipments, the materials, and the procedures. They are governing the quality of the testing. And therefore, this in this lecture, in this e-talk, I intend to explore some of these issues which are related with the persons, their competency, with the equipments, their quality, with the materials, their properties, their characterization, and the procedures which we are going to adopt during the testing. Because if we are weak on these four elements, persons, equipments, materials, and procedures, ultimately the quality of the testing will be also deteriorating. And therefore, if you want to maintain the quality of the testing, we will have to focus on quality of the persons, quality of the equipments, quality of the materials, and ultimately quality of the procedures. All these four all together, they will ultimately be responsible and accountable to govern the quality of the testing. And therefore, it is very necessary that when we are talking about the quality of the testing, we will have to address the issues related with these four elements in the testing, during the testing. Next, all those things starts with the personal component first. Who are responsible, who are conducting the testing? It is the technician, it is the engineer who is accountable for that. So we'll have to see what is the qualification of that person who is conducting the testing. What is his education? What is his work experience? And whether he has gone through on-job training during his entire career. Because this is very important. I happen to visit so many sites during the testing procedures, during the inspections. And then I frequently go on talking, asking number of questions. Eventually, incidentally, I asked one of the persons who was very senior in one of the sites. I asked who has tested these cubes. He said, "Sir, I have tested the cubes." Considering his age, looking to his experience and all those things, I think he is a big expert in this field. And then just incidentally, I asked, "What is your qualification? From where? From which college you have done your engineering?" He said, "Sir, sorry, I'm not engineer. I have done my BA." I was shocked. You have done your BA, your Bachelor of Arts. How come you are going for doing this testing? So the qualification of the person who is doing the testing is very important. I just for sake of I thought that with a with a big experience he might have learned the things during the entire career. I just asked a number of technical terms to him. He was unable to tell. He was not knowing humidity, he was not knowing compressive strength, he was not knowing calibration, he was not knowing water cement ratio. So there are so many technical things which are associated with the testing which this person needs to understand. And qualification and education is one of the important aspects which are responsible for the quality of the testing. So when we are appointing the engineer and technician on the field, we should see that whether that person is qualified enough, whether he is having technical experience based on his knowledge and qualification, not based on his non-technical degree. And this is not sufficient. The time demands continuous training because day by day methodologies are changing. Once upon a time in this country, the working stress method was there, then came ultimate theory, then came limit state design. So procedures are changing, design philosophies are changing, the machineries are changing. Once upon a time, we used the simple ordinary 20-second theodolite. Then we shifted to 1 second theodolite. Then we nowadays we are using total stations. So machinery are also updated, procedures are updated, philosophies are updated. daily, every year something new philosophy, new technology is coming. And therefore, just by securing the qualification once upon a time, uh, that is not sufficient. There is a need of continuous job training also. So our engineers, our technicians, they should undergo through such kind of job training continuously. This is very important. Next, this is very important. And the certification and continuous professional development programs will add a value in their job training aspect. Uh, Continuously, uh, they should go through the seminars, the workshops, the faculty development programs, FDPs, then continuous professional CPDs. They should attend the expert sessions. They should go and participate at actual in on-field training by doing the testing at actual. So such kind of continuous professional development programs, which ultimately resulting into certification programs, that is the need of the time. Now, those who are professionals here, those who are associated with testing, there is a high time to ask this question to our mind that yes, I am doing testing. How many certifications of the testing I have as on date? How many certifications I have acquired during last 1 year? How many continuous professional development programs I have attended in last 3 months, in last 6 months, in last 1 year, or for that sake, in last 3 years? I am sure that we have a good scope for development on this aspect. Next, the competency of testing agencies is also the another issue. There are many agencies who perform the testing. We outsource the testing job to these agencies. They take the job on turnkey basis. But for those testing agencies, I have full respect for them. They are doing a great service to the industry, to the nation. But at the same time, if we want to maintain the quality of the testing, we need to just take a look at their competency also. What infrastructure they have. One of the testing laboratories which I visited, I was shocked. It was one simple flat of 1 BHK, and that was a testing room, the testing laboratory. I asked, do you have, this is your, it seems this is your office. Where is your testing laboratory? They said, no, we conduct it here only. So no facilities were there. Room was not air conditioned, humidity and other controls were not there. And in one apartment, in one flat of 1 BHK, with this very limited infrastructure, that testing agency was operating with testing programs, big projects. So we need to understand what is the infrastructure. I just critically asked that fellow that are you satisfied with this kind of small infrastructure for such big, huge testing, the jobs which you are doing? He said, by laughing and taking it lightly, he said, no, sir, what has happened just now? I have retired from job and now my son is also will be completing the graduation and I am thinking now to open this venture. So just after my retirement, there should be something I should be engaged actively with some activity, and that's why I have started with this activity. So Mindwell testing agency and testing activity is not a time pass activity for sake of some relaxation after your retirement. Or neither it is some of the such avenues to be opened for newly fresh graduates. Of course, that this is one of the very good career paths for new graduates, but they need to go for certain norms, certain minimum basic requirements. Machinery are very limited. Nowadays, testing agency means I have one testing hammer I have at the most one ultrasonic testing machine, and that's all. I am consultant. I am a competing agency. I am a competent agency, testing agency in the field. So whether we need appropriate machinery, that also we need to. There are some testing agencies which are really doing good. They are really good. They have good infrastructure. They have good machinery. They have employed the qualified staff also. But for some of them, they have not yet accredited. They didn't get the certification from ISO. We know ISO 17025 gives certification for testing agencies. So we should have the accreditation from the different, we need to get accredited as per the norms of ISO for being good testing agencies. NPL is one of such agencies. There are so many such agencies. NPL is one of them to which we know, many of us we know. And all such testing agencies, they necessarily should have qualified staff, but at the same time, they need to have sufficient literature. There are so many courses ranging from ASTM to an ACI course to IS course. Many of the agencies, they do not have sufficient literature, sufficient course, handbooks, books, supporting research papers, validation for sake of validation thing, calibration things. So when we are giving the job, outsourcing the job of testing to some testing agency, we need to know, we should confirm that they have the adequate infrastructure, machinery, they are accredited by the accredited agency, and whether they have sufficient literature or not. If we critically look into all these aspects before outsourcing the work of testing to some agency, we cannot maintain the testing. We cannot maintain the testing of the quality of the testing. Next. So this is a very important aspect. Next. The continuous professional development that is required to be achieved if the staff is employed by this testing agency. The competency is very important. All those faculty members, all those technical manpower which is employed there, that the people, they should be competent enough in requiring for the required test methods. They need to have the understanding and technical competency to perform the testing. And for that, next, for that sake, we should appreciate the practices which are available to at the developed countries. Because in many developed countries, they have maintained the minimum standard for such kind of testing. They are employing full-time registered professional engineer with at least 5 years experience for all the testings. Unfortunately, in India, we are focusing only on qualification. We see whether the person who is responsible for technical testing is whether he is qualified, whether he is B or AME. B and AME is all right. It is must. It is the qualification. But beyond qualification, there is title. And we in India, unfortunately, are not much aware about the title. The professional engineer is competent, and that's why there's a need now. All those qualified people with AME and am I audible now? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. So there's a need that all our technicians, they should go for the professional engineer title. which in you can put the remark in chat box, which I can see, or you can for a while. Is it okay, Hemant?
Yes, sir. Now it is okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll continue. So, in all developed countries, there is a good. They are following good practices. Yeah, Ravi, is my sound audible? Yes.
Hello. Sir,
Please.
in between we are losing. Like in between we're not getting your sound.
Oh. It seems that there is a fluctuation in net connection then, because since starting I am using the same sound system, so there won't be any problem in the system as such, I believe. There might be some disturbances and fluctuations in net connection. You keep on writing the remark in chat box as a feedback to me. I continue then. Huh? Because some messages are there that there is no problem also. So I'll continue. I will to maintain the flow. I will continue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So in all developed countries, the technicians, they need to pass the written examination and practical examination. Next, unless they are allowed to perform these are the courses which are specifying Just a minute. Audience, I request you to be there just within a minute or so. I'll be back to you. Wait a minute. Have I back? So,
हेलो, आवाज आ रही है?
Hemant, what I will do now, that I will talk from, I will refer the mobile of herself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
So can you just log in? Are you able to listen to me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your voice are clear.
So do one thing now. You please go to the next slide.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just a second.
And now make all these audience. Have you muted the audience?
Yes, sir. Please start.
Should I start now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Audience, I'm extremely sorry that now you will realize the importance of the and significance of the testing. Now, what we did in between, that was the testing was going on. We tested the internet connection, we tested the audio quality, we tested the couple of systems here and there, and that made us to get tuned once again. So the testing plays very important role to get tuned with each other again. Let it be with the quality or let it be with you all again here. So this is very important to know. Let's continue. A break ke baad we'll continue once again. So the criteria which the developed countries they are following is for technicians. They conduct the program, technician program for the um, quality, and they conduct the written examination. If the technician who wishes to work there in the laboratory, if this they pass the written examination, then only they can go for the next examination. Next, please. The after passing the written examination, they need to go next. They need to go for performance examination. So written examination, theoretical knowledge is not sufficient for all those who clear the written examination. They need to go for the performance examination also. And after passing the this performance examination, which has two components to appear for. They need to give the demonstration of the test, and they need to produce the proper documentation of that. Then only they can act as a technician for laboratory, for field testing and all. Next, please. So this is the practice they are following there in developed countries. Next slide. The examination which they conduct, it is a certification program. It has well-defined syllabus. There are different test methods which are mentioned in the syllabus. There are codes. There are the practice test methods to be performed. And having gone through a structured syllabus, having gone through a structured test, written test, and the practical test, then only they are certified as technician and they become competent to go for testing. Let us on this background ask the question to ourselves, what system we have in India? Are our technicians certified? Are we conducting the tests? Do you have some syllabus for that? Are we needed to pass, are we passing those examinations? Unfortunately, no such systems are practiced in India. No spatial code is available for the quality of testing. For testing, there are IS codes, but to maintain the quality of the testing, unfortunately, no code is available as it is available abroad. Next, please. So this is a very important and good thing that they are doing. But they have not limited themselves only to the testing personalities, only personnel. Both technicians, engineers who are performing the test, they necessarily need to go through the test accreditation and certification. But which are the testing agencies? They are also required to be periodically accredited. There are standards and there are the criteria for quality assurance agencies. And if those agencies, if they follow those standards, if they follow those criteria, then only, and if they are accredited periodically, then only they can act as a testing agency, or else they cannot. Next, please. So this is very important quality cautiousness that they exhibit. There are standards and criteria for evaluating agencies. Testing agency is one thing. There are some evaluating agencies also, and they also need to go for the accreditation. So all such standard practices only will lead towards the quality of the testing. We need to learn the lessons in India from all these countries to maintain the quality. Next, please. On one front, when this is the thing, if we take the glance in India at our end, we'll come to know that our equipments many times they do not fulfill the basic requirements. For any testing, for any quality during the testing, the equipment plays very important role. We discussed at the start only, there are four elements. Person is first, which we have discussed at length. Equipment is second, material is third, and the procedure is fourth. So we will shift towards the material. The equipment, sorry. The equipment need to be very accurate. We know accuracy of the equipment is defined by means of the least count. The equipment which you are seeing here is, measuring the distance. So nowadays, instead of taking the tape and measuring the dimensions of the structure, just with the help of this pointer and the sensor fixed in that, we can get the digital display of this thing. Very nice device, very nice use and application of the technology. But have ever we checked whether this is calibrated or not? Whether it is giving accurate measurement or not? Using it is a good thing, but its calibration plays very important role there. Next, please. So, what is the list count of our staff, survey staff? Whether it is checked. Next slide. Then, whether that machine is accurate, showing the accurate result. This is important. We are using the survey equipment. Survey plays very important role in entire quality. Let it be the survey of alignment of the road, let it be the survey of the tunnel alignment, or in many cases, the resolution plays very important role, because the survey which is conducted maybe ordinary level, maybe with 1 second theodolite, 20-second theodolite, or maybe with the advanced total station. But how many times we check the resolution? We demand the certificate of the resolution. Once we purchase the 1 second theodolite or total station, are we going for periodic calibration of that machine? Is very important. Or else, as you are seeing here, that the error, cumulative error, goes on increasing. And this error, when it goes on increasing, the whole of the levels will become wrong. So resolution is very important. When we are using the equipments for the testing, we need to know, not only worry about their accuracy, along with that, resolution plays also very important, particularly in the survey equipment. Next slide. The resolution and the sensitivity, these are two aspects of any good machine. As we know that we use the bubble there in surveying equipments. How many of us in whole of our testing career, in our testing life, we have checked the sensitivity of the bubble officially? How many of us we have calibration of sensitivity of the bubble? If the bubble is disturbed by a couple of centimeters, or say even for that sake, 5 millimeters even, all of the sensitivity of the machine has gone. So whatsoever accuracy it has on the staff, the survey instrument and its bubble and its resolution and its sensitivity is not maintained. What is the use of such? So when we are using such machines, equipment, we need to check their sensitivity. Next slide. We need to go for checking of this. Along with that, each and every equipment, it has some range. The appropriate selection of the equipment, considering its appropriate range, which is suitable for that particular testing, plays very important role in maintaining the quality of the testing. Whether that machine is having the appropriate range which is desired, which is mentioned in that code, that is required to be checked. Next slide. So all those things, they are very important. Particularly the machines which are associated with the NDT, they are also equally important. Next, please. The ultrasonic test machine and the NDT hammer, these are common techniques. Now, when we are using such kind of ultrasonic machinery, they need to know their response time, because accuracy and functioning and quality of results due to these machines, it is governed by means of their response time. How many of us we are really caring for the temperature effect during observations of NDT? Next, please. When there is a temperature outside in the field in the range of 30 to 60, next please, then we need to apply the correction. 5% reduction in velocity is to be considered when the temperature outside is very high. It's other way around. If the temperature outside is less, it is to the tune of 4 degrees centigrade, then 7.5% increase in velocity is required to be maintained. Now we are conducting the ultrasonic test even in winter at the temperature of 10 degrees centigrade with the same velocity value. Even if we conduct it in the hot summer to the tune of 42 degrees centigrade, we consider the same velocity. There is no correction factor, neither on reduction side nor on increment side we apply. Next, please. So this is hampering the quality of the testing. The surface preparation is playing very important role in NDT testing. Next, please. That is required to be done. Very few people, they use the carborundum stone for clearing the surface. Next, please. So all preparations of the surface and these things, they govern the quality. How you are holding the transducers during the test, their angle with the testing surface, that is equally important. Now we are testing the cube in the laboratory. The dimension of the cube is just 15 centimeter. The velocity which we will be getting over the length of 15 centimeter only. In the field, the column, beam, slab, where we are applying these two transducers, they are at more distance more than 15 centimeters. So there are some limitations on the sufficient path length in the laboratory, and that hampers a quality, that deviates the quality from the field testing. So laboratory testing on the cube result and the field testing of the same concrete, there is a mismatch. That is very important. Orientation of the reinforcement is very important. When we are conducting the NDT in the field, we normally conduct it for RCC. And when we are talking about RCC, it is not PCC then. The plain cement concrete is different story. But when there is a reinforcement inside the slab, column, beam, then that orientation of the reinforcement, next please, is also required to be considered while interpreting the results. The pulse velocity increases by the magnitude of 1.2 to 1.9 times when there is a reinforcement. Are we counting for that? Are we considering that parameter while interpreting the results? And that's why our field results, due to improper use of the equipments, inaccurate use of the equipments, they are deviating. So quality of the testing is deteriorated due to all these parameters. Next. So how to have the machine in the laboratory is not sufficient. We need to have the proper quality of the machines. The interpretation of the machine is, next please, is equally important. So this is on one side. The software modeling which we mentioned initially, that many software models are now available in the market, and they are based on the principle of repeatability. When the modeling is done with the advanced, this artificial neural network needs a huge database. If your data is very large in numbers, maybe probably in thousands or lakhs, then you get the refined results. And that entire data is assessed through the software based on the process of repeatability. So whether the software processing, that computing facility, is capable of doing the processing repeatedly with accurate speed, what is the data storage capacity, and what is that repeatability, that counts a lot. So it is not only that we are using the equipment or we have the equipment. It is not only that we have the software at our end. If we are not using it properly and with all these parameters checked, then quality of whatsoever great equipment and softwares we have, we may not get the desired quality of the testing. Next, please. This is very important. The quality of the equipment is by and large governed by calibration. So whether our equipments are calibrated or not, that we need to check frequently. And one more thing, some people, they are proudly saying that, yeah, my equipment is calibrated. If you ask next question to them, from whom you have calibrated it, they tell some private agency. Now that private agency, whether it is accredited, whether they are following the norms of ISO, all 17025, this is a problem. Sometimes they just tell, yeah, we have tested it, we have calibrated the equipment, that too with certification of ISO certified company testing agency. And if you ask the next question to them, that when you have obtained the last calibration certificate, they said, oh, it was some 4 years before. So it is not sufficient then. Whether you are maintaining the frequency, that matters a lot. Next, please. So, and many people now, they have the mobile vans, they have the mobile testing facilities, and they have the machinery. Mobile lab contains the machinery. But some people, they think that this is not for mobile laboratory. This is only for the structured laboratory. No, the testing facilities, let it be in the laboratory or mobile laboratory, all are required to be calibrated. Our site experiences tell very funny things. Next, please. That the equipments which we are using, say CTM on the site, it is in horrible conditions many times. The oil is not filled properly, the calibration is not done. In one of the testing laboratories, field laboratories, when I visited it, there was no cube, there was no pressure applied, machine was not started, and still the dial gauge was reading 5 kilonewton observation reading. So it means it is faulty machine. So machines are faulty, their base is not proper. On temporary base, they are just raising the machines. Next, please. Particularly in case of this next horizontal, this hand-operated machines, the rods are not available to operate the things. So they put some wooden bully, small stick to pull that lever. Nobody is concerned about the rate of application of the load during testing. Tube molds is the another story. Here you are seeing now, see, there's no proper screws and nuts and bolts. Ordinary binding wire is used. Weighing balance is not again there. Weighing balance is not calibrated. Even I remember that even the doctors, if they are using the weighing balance in their hospital, they are required to calibrate their weighing balance. In our laboratory, we use sensitive balance, we use pan balance, we use electronic balance. So calibration of all those equipments, that plays a very important role in quality. Next, please. That time to time periodic checking is required to be done. Next. When we are filling the cube, the tamping rod which we are using, that is another story. Please, next, please. This tamping rod, it has some specifications. Next. Tamping rod should have diameter 16 millimeter. It should have the length of 600 millimeter. If it is rounded, if it is square, then its length should be 400 millimeter. then its weight is well defined, how many blows are to be given, that is well defined. Next is, this is not available, we just show must go on at the site with that philosophy. What we do, we pick up any rod there on the site, and we use the same rod for our compaction. Next, please. So these are the site issues. How we'll maintain the quality? Next, the needle vibrator which we go for compaction, that is the another story. Next, please. So we are not bothering about the things that whether we are submerging that vibrator fully into the concrete for at least 10 seconds. It is to be next. It is to be operated. Its tip should be fully submerged. As we know that when we are taking it out, it should be taken with certain speed. 2.5 centimeter per second should be the pull up of vibrator when we are doing. Next, please. Then when we are inserting that, putting it into the concrete, there should be overlap of the with the previous radius every time when we are changing the location. There is a thumb rule that the radius of action should be 4 times the vibrator tip diameter. We know the vibrator, they are available in the market ranging from 25 millimeter to 60 millimeter diameter. What you are using, which diameter you are using will govern how many 4 times the diameter, tip diameter. That will be the radius of the influence. And accordingly, when you are shifting to next location, you need to go for the appropriate overlap that is required to be followed. So these simple things, they contribute a lot in testing. If you take the cube which is from the concrete which is not well compacted, it will hamper the total strength and quality of the concrete. So vibration is very important, playing very important. Next, please. Important role here. There are so many equipments which we can go on discussing, like one of the very important is the helmet. Please, next, please. The in helmet, you can, we are, nobody is bothering about the weight, mass of the helmet. According to IS 2925, the mass is well defined. It should not be very heavy so that there will be neck problems, head problems. It should not be that lighter for sake of formality we are putting on head. Its shock absorption resistance is required to be checked. Its flammability resistance is required to be checked, and its penetration things is required to be checked. All this permanently set for me. Next, please. These things they play a very important role. Heat resistance, water absorption, electrical resistance. These are the things. Even for one simple helmet, if we want to use on the site, you need to look into the matter or all these aspects, quality aspects, and then only we will be able to maintain the quality. On site, we have binding wire, another big issue. Next, please. Display all the units, all the animations. So we are not bothering about the tensile strength of the, hardly we go and test the binding wire. We are not bothering about the tensile strength. Again, we are not bothering about whether it is from a hard process or it is annealed one. Physical test of the binding wire are hardly done in the laboratory testing about its size, surface condition, tensile strength, bending strength, warping and coating. Next, please. All these tests on the binding wire, we are not going to do. Even for sampling sake, we are not doing the proper sampling of that also. So that is also equally important. Next, please. Binding wire is a big issue. Now it was recommended that instead of binding wire, go for the weld when we are going for lapping of the reinforcement. But again, welding quality is another serious issue. Hardly we follow the norms of IS 822 of the weld when we are using the weld on the field. Welding electrodes, welding wire, welding flux, the gases. Next, please. Age preparation, weld dimensions. They all are the aspects which govern the quality of the welding. We should ask this question to our mind now when we are talking about the quality of the testing, that are we concerned about all these parameters? Are we, before using the weld on the site, are we uh, doing the test of continuity, fusion test, soundness test, bend test, penetration test, load test, hardness test? There are so many things. And if we do not do all those tests, perform all those tests on the welding material, how we can give the assurance that during the earthquake and during the lateral loading, our welded bars will stay in position. So next, please. These are the issues which we need to observe in the field. Scaffolding is another very important issue, most ignored issue. You can see here that there are so many parameters of the scaffolding which are ignored on the field. The guardrail, the toe board, and there are so many aspects which are not technically followed. There is a IS code IS 3696 which indicates all those details of this thing. Next slide, please. Next, please. Hello, Team Ultratech, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Will you please share the screen? My slides are not visible to me.
So, it's already on a share.
No, I am unable to see it.
और नहीं दिख रहा है स्क्रीन तुम्हारा?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Dinesh, should I continue?
So there is
Hello.
some. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm getting echo again.
Can you just again log into this
Okay.
meeting?
Hello, now?
Yes, sir. Now it is okay.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello? Hello? Dinesh, am I audible? Audible है अभी आ रहा है आवाज? Sorry, audience, due to these technical problems, but here also to come out of this, only testing helps us. You see, we conducted a couple of testings and then we could do it. So I was talking about the scaffolding. That please next please. The bullies which we use there, the four bully single pole scaffolding and for double pole scaffolding, all those bullies of class 1 and class 2 which we use, they should be of some ISO according to ISO specifications. There is a requirement that when we use those bullies, next please, that at certain distance from the base, those bullies they are required to be marked with the name of the species of the timber which is used there, and then the symbol, the IS certification marks that is required to be displayed on each and every bully from a distance of 2 meter from the base. Next, please. So this is the requirement there. Next, which we are ignoring. Our field experience of testing of the sand is again of the same thing. When we are talking about the quality of the material testing, we are separating the fine aggregate and coarse aggregate by the process of sieving. But how many times we have checked the sieve size? How many times we have calibrated it? Whatever is available on the field, if the manufacturer has provided that, it is all right. Or else, whatever is available, that is differentiating our coarse aggregates from fine aggregates at the mercy of the machine. So there is no quality check on this. Frequently, we should check all those things. Next, please. So the material and machine quality, they should go hand in hand. Curing of concrete. Next, please. Display in the entire slide. Uh, the curing of concrete is also equally important thing. How we are curing that concrete, it should not be less than for the ordinary concrete when it is exposed to dry and hot weather condition. But nowadays in the field we observe that we go for blended cements, and in case of blended cements, the minimum curing period should be 14 days. But all compulsions on the site and with the speed which is already pre-decided, irrespective of the quality and all those things, we have finished the entire operation of curing within 7 8 days, and we just run after the next stage of the construction. So that period is not followed. Accordingly, the temperature of the water, that under condition, that is not followed. When curing is done, that the temperature is one criteria. The water that is required to be checked, if it is a cube and if it is just in the submerged condition in a tank, then that water in the tank necessarily should be checked every 7 days. This is many times is not followed in the field. That hamper. Next, please. That hampers the quality of the testing, and there are so many requirements of the next, please. Requirements of storage, testing the specimen. First of all, the frequency of sampling conditions. There is a code how the sample should be taken. Those are required to be followed. After taking the samples, they are required to be kept in moist air, at least with 90% relative humidity. We should ask this question to ourselves: how many of us, for sake of a good quality testing, we maintain 90% relative humidity? How many of us we maintain the temperature of 27 degrees? This is important. Then again, the total standard deviation aspects, they are ignored in the field. Concrete mix proportioning, there are guidelines as mentioned in IS 10262. These are also ignored. So our field experiences, unfortunately, are not very promising. By and large, I'm talking. I'm not talking about the people who are following it, who are maintaining it. I congratulate them. All those agencies, all those projects where these minor things might be related with the binding wire to bullies, to formwork, to scaffolding, to the welding operation, we salute them. But for all other sites, we need to take care of all those aspects. Please, next, please. So as far the procedures are concerned, next, please. So as far the procedure is concerned, we should go for the different instruments also. The field experience is not good. We know that the cement consumption is largely depend upon the size and shape of the aggregate. So flakiness index and elongation index will decide what will be our shape and size of the coarse aggregate. It will decide what will be the consumption of the cement. And hardly we conduct the test of flakiness index and elongation index for the sampling process, for sake of sampling, whether we are doing the proper sampling, that is another issue. What is the frequency of doing that testing, that is another. Next, please. That is another issue. And so ultimately that hampers to the quality of the testing. The specimens which we are taking at the end of the concreting, that again, how to store them, there are some guidelines. They should be well packed in damp sand or damp sacks when we are bringing all those cubes to the testing laboratory. How many of us we bring the cubes in the laboratory in damp condition? In hot summer season, in open tempo, we bring the cubes to the labs. In laboratory also, we keep it somewhere as guided by the labor there, pune there. And whether we are maintaining the temperature, that is also required to be checked. Next, please. The testing of specimen is another issue. In fact, this itself is different. Here, whatever we are talking, each aspect is really speaking a topic of one independent lecture. But I'm just trying to touch all these aspects. The orientation of the cube, how we keep the cube there in the machine, the alignment of loading, the leveling of the machine, rate of loading is very important aspect. That is going to give the different results of the strength of the cube. Again, grade of the concrete and the rate of loading, they are required to be decided. The calibration of the machine, all these aspects, they govern the cube strength. So the concrete will or otherwise will be defamed. Whatever great quality of cement we use, but if we do not follow the proper machine, if we do not follow the proper procedure, then the quality will hamper. And ultimately, we blame the cement. Ultimately, we blame the quality of material, but it is the quality of the testing which will be giving the distracted results, and that will create the problem. Next, please. So all these things are required to be followed in the field. The quality, when we are checking, we should follow the pre-construction stage, the post-construction, during construction. Next, please. All these, when we are following, we should also bother about the frequency of testing. It's not just for sake of formality, once a while we have checked it. The frequency is important, the preciseness of the method, that is equally important. And along with all these things, what matters a lot is interpretation and analysis of the results, which are based on the knowledge, experience, and skill of judgment Of course, skill of judgment and experience are the non-technical component, but they still play a very important role. And along with the knowledge, technical basic fundamental sound principles, this is also equally important. So while doing that, we need to go for the comparison of the design parameters and long-term trends. Unfortunately, if you check the same material in two different laboratories, then the same result should be obtained. But behavior of the similar structure, behavior of the similar material, behavior of the similar characteristics tested in two different laboratories will not match. And this is very important. Next, uh, when we are talking about the quality, we should go for that, and that's why when we are now, I am coming in the last phase of my presentation. That when we are going for the uh, adopting the proper procedures, we need to understand the importance of accreditation and follow the norms of ISO 17025. We should go for the regular audits and inspection by the outside agencies. But while doing that, those outside agencies should be also accredited. They should have the good experienced staff, technically qualified staff. They should have the proper records maintained there, and the current library of the testing agency should have the relevant literature also. The two properly conducted tests should result, as I mentioned, in the same result. But if it is not happening, then there is some mismatch in their calibration, in their equipment, in their procedures, in their entire methodology, and we should take care of all those things. Next, please. This, when we will follow, then only we can think about the quality of the testing, for which we need to go for introspection. We should ask ourselves the different questions. Are we following the norms? Are we following the proper machinery? Are we following the proper methods, equipments? Are our manpower technically qualified? All these things provides us a good scope for introspection. So if we want to maintain the quality of the testing, the very first thing that we should go for introspection. Then we should go for the strict compliance of the specifications and standards to get the meaningful results. A whole of the gimmicks is associated with following the specifications. The moment we violate the specifications, we are in trouble. We will not get the quality. And to follow the specifications, we need to impart the educations, the seminars to educate the contractors, the design professionals, the testing agencies, the local professional bodies is must. Unless otherwise we go for the education through all these different events, and we cannot expect the quality of the testing on the field. And the education and training should go hand in hand. The training is very important. When we give the training and education, then only our people will follow the specifications. There is a great ignorance about the specifications in our country. So as quality is concerned, we will have to think about the chalta hai attitude. We will have to say very strictly no, a big no to chalta hai attitude. Then only the quality of the testing will be improved. And we will have to start some new events now. Pre-construction meets before we initiate the project, before we mobilize the project, before we start execution of the project. We should conduct the meets. We should go for seminar and conferences with all the teams, with contractor, with consultant, with designer, with all people associated with the construction. We need to give them the clear idea of the design assumptions, design philosophies adopted. We need to give them idea about the specifications, the spatial features, accountabilities and responsibilities. Such type of pre-construction conference, pre-construction meet or seminar with all the agencies associated with the project execution is a need of the time. If we want to maintain the quality of the
construction at the end, and quality of the testing at the start. Such meets of all concerns will play a very important role. And there should be a literature available with each and every authority. That literature should give the idea about the checklist. Next, please. The checklist in the form of brochures, in the form of small booklets. This should be available. It should be made available. Every technician, supervisor, lab technician, field engineer, they should have this sufficient literature with them, which will time to time give them the idea of their accountability and their responsibility. And very important, if we want to maintain the quality of the testing in India, we need to start a test first for self-assess competency and to improve the proficiency. In all developed countries, they organize the test fest. It is a festival of testing. Competitions are organized. In this festival, the different laboratories they participate, the different testing agencies they participate, the different evaluating agencies they participate, they produce the results of their test. And then there will be conference, there will be technical expert lectures, there will be some question answer sessions, and then that festival is a festival of testing. This is a very good step if we land up in test fest, organization of such kind of festival of testing. That I believe will be a good step towards maintaining the quality of the testing. One thing is very sure, that unless otherwise the quality of testing is enhanced, the quality of the construction will not be enhanced. And therefore, the person, the equipment, the machine, the procedure, and the material. Quality of these four elements is required to be maintained through the quality of the testing to ultimately produce the quality of the work. This is the need of the time, and the time will not otherwise excuse us if we produce non-durable structures. So to produce good sustainable structures, non-durable structures, we need to maintain the quality through quality of the testing. I'm very thankful to the organizers for organizing this e-talk, a different experiment in the country during COVID period. I believe that you have enjoyed the session, but I at the same time apologize for sake of disturbances due to technical issues of internet connectivity and the sound quality. But these are the things beyond our control. Let us try to maintain and quality on that aspect also. I thank you once again for sparing time. Thank you. Thank you all.
So, thank you very much, sir, for sharing your valuable knowledge with all the participants. So, can we start, sir, with the question and answer session? Hello. Hello.
Able to listen to me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So,
We are unable to listen to you.
can we start with the question answers?
You can ask the question.
Yes, sir. So,
There's an echo.
hello.
Yeah, are you getting my voice?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So,
Hello,
yes, sir. We'll take the first
hello,
question. Hello. Yes, sir.
hello.
So your voice is audible.
Team Ultratech,
Yes, sir. Your
Dinesh.
voice. Yes, sir. Your voice is audible.
Dinesh, are you able to listen to me?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello, Harshal.
To the phone. Hello. Hello. Dinesh. Dinesh, are you able to listen to me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It seems there was some problem of connectivity. If we are connected, you can just please ask the questions.
Yes, sir. So, firstly, we'll take the question of Hemant Joshi, sir. So he
Huh.
have asked about ki we do not have professional certification for quality engineers in India. What can
Huh.
institutes do to make a reliable platform? So as an institute, what is the role of institute for making a reliable platform for engineers, quality engineers?
Yeah. Hemanji, it's a very nice question. I appreciate your concern for the quality. And fortunately, in India, now that activity has started, there are three professional bodies which are available, which give the certification of professional engineer. There is Engineering Council of India. If you go to their site and if you apply for a certificate of professional engineer, even the Institution of Engineers India, which is a prime body of all engineers of different branches in India, they also issue the certification of professional engineer. We need to fill their form. They conduct the test, they conduct the interview also, those who will be passing the test and written examination, and those who will be passing the interview, they will be getting the certification as professional engineer. For very senior people, they have little relaxation also on the from the test, written test or interview, depending upon the qualification and the experience and the competency. But by and large, we get such kind of certification from Institution of Engineers as well as Engineering Council of India. Even Association of Consulting Civil Engineers, they also facilitate their members to, and they promote even to apply for this title. And there is a need now in India to go for this certification. But these efforts are very limited through these two bodies only. We should now apply to the government so that such certification agencies are required to be enhanced. That number is required to be enhanced in India, considering the large mob of engineers and the big sector of the construction in India. Thank you. I hope I have cleared your doubt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very well. Mr. Mangesh Awad, sir, wanted to know at which temperature the correction factor will be zero while using NDT.
Hello, will you please repeat the question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello?
So, yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
So, Mangesh Awad, sir, wanted to know at which temperature the correction factor will be zero while using NDT test because he
Yeah.
faces the problem to adjust the angle.
Yeah. If you refer the code and if you refer the guidelines, you will come to know that room temperature 27 is a good thing to adjust the equipment.
Beyond that, we need to apply the correction. Less than that, we need to apply the correction. But still, I recommend to see the code for exact value. I'm not updated with the exact temperature value right now at this moment of time. So please, but that is available in the code. We need to refer it.
Yes, sir. So another question is related to chemical admixture.
Uh-huh.
What field test possibly we can do while receiving chemical admixture at batching plants? So basic field test which can be conducted on field while receiving the
Uh,
chemical admixtures.
No,
Any?
unfortunately, no field test as such. I'm not aware about such field test for construction chemicals at least, because by and large, what we need to depend on what manufacturer is providing. But from the third party testing through the certified laboratories, we can go for the testing. But as on date, on the field, we do not have any chemical test available for construction chemicals.
So another question is very big in terms of asking also, Mr. Prakash.
Your voice is deteriorated. Please, will you please adjust the mic?
Hello, hello.
Ah,
Yes, sir. So Mr. Prakash D has written a question about who is going to check the competency of accreditation agencies in India. Nowadays, we have very bad feedback about NABL accredited labs in our country. So, what kind of focus can we give on this issue? And NABL accreditation appoints agencies which are really the problem.
yeah. Really, this is really a pity situation. We have the code available, and NABL also for all of us. It is like a supreme body in accreditation, but it is not like that. NABL is one of the agencies which is certified or which is accredited, which is having that kind of competency. But those who are following IS norms, the IS code which I mentioned, that all such agencies, and NABL is one of them, they are doing all this. What Mr. Prakash said is really a fact, that the accreditation obtained from the NABL, those testing laboratories need a third party inspection. They may not have that kind of thing. Even some of the government agencies which are for sake of government stamp, they claim that they are NABL accredited, but the situation is really very poor. In many engineering colleges and in many government firms also, they conduct the testing, but their laboratory is not accredited. And those even having NABL accreditation, there is a scope to take the doubt about that, as he rightly mentioned. So situation is really very worst as far the accreditation is concerned. And we need to consider, we need to now go to BIS once again for with this insistence that there should be a separate code for quality of testing in India. And then if that code will come, then such agencies, those who are following, that will be uh, uh, available in a large number. But as on date, IS code, ISO is the only thing that we need to rely upon. That was the early idea to talk on this topic, that it is most ignored part in India, and we all engineers now should approach to BIS and ISOs for this thing, for development of such infrastructure on for quality.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And how we can, what can be done to create awareness on the same topic?
Hello, will you please be louder, please, Dinesh?
Hello. Yes, sir.
Ah.
So, what can be done to create awareness and how we can increase the frequency of testing in the projects? and what financial aspects it will make on the testing if we go for an awareness, and if we increase the frequency, what financial aspects it will make?
Yeah, yeah. This is a very great question, and I would like to quote a very nice example of one of the schemes in India on this front. That there are two issues, that how to create the awareness. As in my concluding slide, I told that creating the awareness, conducting the seminars, hosting the pre-construction, pre-mobilization of the project conference with all the concerns, with continuous FDP, faculty development program, with continuous CPD, continuous professional development program. So seminars, workshops, CPDs, FDPs, the short-term programs, the conferences, pre-construction conference, during construction conference. These are the ways and means through which we can create the awareness. But the next point, which is very important to me, and I would like to quote the example of a very nice scheme of PMGSY. You might be knowing Panta Pradhan Gram Sadak Yojana is one of the schemes which is implemented in India for development of the rural roads. In this scheme, they have kept certain percentage for testing in their tender itself. So quality of the construction can be maintained, quality of the project can be maintained if we spend substantial or certain amount on testing. In PMGSY roads, there are three types of the testing. Tier 1 testing, which is done at deputy engineer level and executive engineer level. Tier 2 testing, which is done by state quality monitor, and Tier 3 testing, which is done by National Quality Monitor, SQM, NQM. These are two external agencies, and in-house executive engineer, deputy engineer, junior engineer, they are conducting the tests. And there is a quality manual, 300-400 pages quality manual. There is a quality register, part 1 and part 2 they maintain. They conduct literally hundreds of tests. About 119 tests are conducted to execute a project of 1 kilometer length of the road. This is the content of the testing. And that is the reason why even after 5 years, the roads under PMGSY, they are very fine. People nowadays, they demand the roads from PMGSY scheme, not from NABARD or PWD or for other agencies or ZP and all those things. Why I'm quoting with name, that if we inculcate the culture of the quality through the Tier 1 testing, Tier 2 testing, Tier 3 testing, in-house testing, external agency testing, and if we keep sufficient funds in tender document itself, while preparing the tender, they have certain percentage for the inspection, they have certain percentage kept aside. They do not, first of all, reward the tender if the field laboratory is not established. So, and there is a standard list of equipments of the field lab for the field laboratory. So all these things, when they are financially supported in tender itself, in project cost itself, one atom should be, last atom should be testing, quality testing, inspection, then this thing can be promoted. So this, when we are talking about project in crores, why we should not bother about the cost in lakhs for enhancing the quality, if we really want to increase the lifespan of the construction. So provision in tender, provision in project cost with certain appropriate percentage on quality is the solution.
Yes, sir. And the another, I guess it is a kind of a feedback in the line with your views. So the municipal corporation should also include the list of quality test before providing a completion certificate to any project. This will improve the testing procedures and the organization providing testing. So
Yeah,
it
very
was,
much.
yeah.
I endorse the comment who has given. And I extend it further. Why to municipal corporation only? With all those bodies which are concerned, municipal corporation, ZP, PWD, irrigation department,
even for sake of small gram panchayat level, we should have such documents, such literature, and our technical manpower, technical engineers, technicians, supervisors, they should follow this if it is made available. So it is a responsibility to make this available, literature available by all such local bodies.
Yes, one last question which we will be taking is the use of PVC mold for concrete cube
Hello,
casting.
your voice is again deteriorated. Your voice
Hello.
level is again
Yes, sir.
fluctuating. Please.
So the last question would be related to the PVC mold used for concrete cube casting.
Uh-huh.
So how successfully can we use PVC material for cube casting?
Now, unfortunately, code has not given in detail specifications, but code says only one thing: it should not absorb the water from that. And people have now practiced PVC molds, even some plywood molds, and even all those things. So long the dimensions of the mold are exactly maintained in case of concrete 150 by 150 by 150. So for long, it is highly impervious. It is maintaining the required stiffness. Code is not just insisting on some particular material, and that is the reason why this is there. But the field experience says that there is a very horrible situation that the dimensions 150 by 150 by 150 are not maintained. The surface texture inside the inside surface of the mold, that should be maintained throughout the life of the mold. The fixing the gaps after filling the mold, that should be maintained. So if the surface quality is assured, if the dimensions are assured, if the water absorption will not take place, if there won't be any minor leakage and fixity of all four boundaries is assured, people have used different materials, but provided this should be assured. So as for codal provision is there, it says it should be impervious. That's all. It should not absorb the water. That's all. So long all these issues are handled by the mold, right now let us accept it.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. So that's also actually those all the questions we have already answered. The participant have raised. So I would request Hemant Jain sir also to please uh, present his views so we can go for closing the event. Hemant sir.
Yeah, Dinesh. Thank you, Kute sir. At the end,
Thank you.
with having so much of hurdles, we could able to complete in an effective way. I hope that this will go in a very long way. And I request Mr. Ashwin Mogi also attending this program and being the classmates of Kute sir and being the head of key account all India, Mogi sir, if can give his views and put up his advice to all, that will be a very great. Mogi sir, please
Just a second, sir.
unmute the Mogi sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello,
Ashwin
Mogi
sir.
sir, please.
So is it basically these crystalline waterproofing admixture in shotcrete is recommendable or advisable according to, because they are using this PVC waterproofing system. So okay.
Hello. Mogi sir. Hello.
I think
Hello.
he is not audible.
Hello. Dinesh,
Yes, sir.
kindly try whether he's mute, unmute.
No, sir. He's on unmute only. I guess he's busy at some other point.
Okay. Okay, but
Another event, to my knowledge, another event of some foreigner on the tunneling is going on.
yeah, because there were 3-4 program today on Zoom at the
He
same
was with
timing.
him.
So even the participant which we used to get in a general, even your program first time when we launched, At that time, the participants is above our expectation, about 200, 300 participants. But as today there are 3, 4 program lineup. Initially, the participant level is gone to up to 80 to 100, but due to so many programs also lined up in the pipeline, so maybe participant has been moved. But sir, I really salute you. You are not lose your patience and you are continued the way it has to be supposed to be, and that has gone a very well way. And I hope all the participants who have attended really got the knowledge what they are expecting out of this, and the quality of testing, how it matters in day-to-day life. Really, the way you are enlightened to all the participants from the bottom up on personal note and on a behalf of Ultratech, I really thank you very much to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dinesh, try whether Mogeji is free or not. If we get a
Yes.
concluding remark, Mogeji.
Right, sir. Now we'll take two last questions. One is from Alguvel.
No.
Hello.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, Kute sir, thanks
Okay.
from Ultratech and from my total entire Pune region team, sir. Once again.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you, sir.